Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode. Today I'm here with the lovely Lauralie Chapados, said the French way.
Said the French way. Hi guys.
Welcome. So what are we training today?
So we are going to hit glutes, but more precisely upper glutes.
Ooh.
Everything that we need in bikini for the back walk specifically.
Yeah, so I've taken a look at the exercises that we're doing today. There are going to be movements that you have never seen anybody do. And there's going to be at least 2 or 3 exercises that I'm going to say these are now my top 3 exercises for hitting the glute medius especially.
Yeah.
So stick around. You're going to learn a lot. I love the creativity of these programs.
It's all Aldo Paredes. Shout out to him. He comes up with these things and surprises me every time, and then it becomes your favorite. So I can't wait to show you.
Oh, I'm excited, guys. Let's go do it.
Yay. Let's go.
Later this year, which is going to help advance this specific area, because number one, we don't have data on lean individuals like Lauralie and other competitors. So it's kind of a really unique unknown area for research. So we can't take science and say, okay, this is what this person needs to do for their prep, because we don't know. And then the other thing that we don't have a good amount of data on is how much muscle can you grow in a deficit when you are lean. So most of the research is in normal weight or overweight individuals. And then the few studies that we have that look at people either in a deficit, at maintenance, or in a small surplus where they're measuring hypertrophy, muscle growth outcomes, they're using indirect methods of muscle growth, which is a DEXA scan, or they're using bioelectrical impedance, and they can't really distinguish the difference between fat tissue and non-fat tissue. So that'll capture changes in water, glycogen storage. So, Lauralie can go and have a DEXA scan this morning. If she eats a bunch of carbs, has a few glasses of, some kind of juice or whatever, she can go back in later and it's going to skew the data because it changes her fluid status. So unfortunately, all of the data that we have so far in research doesn't use direct methods to measure changes in hypertrophy. So we're going to do both in females on glutes and the shoulders.
I love it.
So I love Lauralie was in town.
I'm really excited about this.
So thank you for bringing it, the machine.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool. And like you said, I'm journaling everything. I know you do journal all of your stuff, but I do too. Now I did that last prep and I did now. So even if you want to go even deeper on the food, because who knows who's when you really conduct the studies, people cheat all the time. Who knows? Even if there's this study, they didn't have a cheeseburger. You know what I mean? But for us,
And that's the thing,
there's so much at stake.
it's all participant reported, self-reported in a lot of the studies, and part of it is because they can't get a full-time dietitian or they can't get a full-time coach to do weekly check-ins like you are now with our clients, or that we certainly do as athletes.
We have just had the most epic muscle thickness measurement session ever. We had 2 pro bikinis, Miss Olympia. We had a wellness girl. It was fascinating to look at the differences in our muscles, in glute medius, glute max, the deltoids. Oh my gosh. But anyway, that comes later. I'm going to go into a set. Apparently I'm up. First exercise that we're doing today, and this is 100% a Lauralie session today, so I am just hopping in to join her. So we're starting with a hip abduction exercise. We're using the Cybex glute hip abduction, and we're doing, I would consider this time under tension, so tempo reps. So a lot of the time when I do my training, I will perform 1-1-1-1 tempo. So it's pretty swift, I would call it. So their tempo today is probably, I'm just watching Lauralie now, probably a 3-second concentric and a 3-second eccentric. So they're slow reps. So if we consider the many ways that you can train, this is one of them. I am so not familiar and comfortable doing this kind of training. It's because I just don't do it. It is so challenging. It's just, you've really got to focus. And it certainly improves my mind-muscle connection. So if you're somebody perhaps that is struggling to get a good mind-muscle connection, just doing a slow rep, it's amazing what you have to do to turn it on. So, my glutes are burning. Exercise number 2 is going to be another glute exercise. So today's program is all glutes. This next one I think is going to be another a glute max exercise this time.
And obviously we'll be doing full extension, so probably getting nice and high up in the top part of that glute max around the insertion. So I haven't seen her do it yet. If we go out on the 45 a little bit, then that's going to bring in a bit more of the glute medius. If we're going straight back, it's mostly just backs. So, woo! What happens? You train with Lauralie.
This is by far the best invention ever. Sorry. Wait, did you come up with this like in your sleep? Like what were you doing? He was here at like what, midnight one night? Midnight, just comes in and does a few reps, lays on the ground with the standing hip abduction, by the way, and puts all this together. Sorry, I guess we'll technically call this a supine lying in its truest sense, literally flat, with a hip abduction. I love this. I don't know why this machine hasn't already existed, but it's the most isolating glute medius exercise I have ever done. So as somebody that has a very posterior tilt, I find a lot of the exercises end up just kind of overloading my lower back quite a bit. This kind of eliminates all of that for me, and I can really like drive in, press my shoulders and my head into the back of the pad and just get the best like mind muscle connection there without anything else turning on. So I would come back here just to use this machine. Like, it's so good. Day 2, I am the world's worst logger. So last night was super fun. We went to one of our favorite rooftop bars just for like some nostalgia. It's like the most beautiful view of the beach here in Fort Lauderdale, so it was nice to go back there. And then what else did we do? We went to a restaurant, had dinner, and yeah, got to bed before midnight, which is a surprise. But we're just heading back to now catch up with Lauralie and do some posing and then get a workout in. So yeah, I think the posing practice is going to be really helpful because that's really the one area where I feel like I could make the most improvements. I haven't really worked with anybody in person ever. So to actually go and hang out with Lauralie, and she has like such beautiful posing. I know she's also worked with a lot of people over the years too in person to kind of get to her level of skill and expertise. So what an awesome opportunity. And yeah, hopefully we get a really good workout in. They've got some really great equipment, as you guys have seen. So yeah, I want to get that done and then hopefully have some time to go to the beach. Check this out. It's like the most gorgeous day. Sunny, sunny, sunny. Might go for a little walk, go to the beach, maybe go to the pool. We'll have to see. Sorry. I think yesterday we finished off having breakfast at one of our favourite spots in Fort Lauderdale and ordering some delicious food. So yesterday I did not spend any time like putting or entering in anything. I think I really just wanted to kind of switch off. We've just got so many things going on. It's just like that extra task of sitting down, and it kind of takes away, in my opinion, from like your experience and your time and present moment. So I just put together all of the things that I had had yesterday, and I want to briefly show you exactly what I had and how I tracked it. That was a little more calorically dense again than a typical breakfast, but it was also like much later in the morning. I'd also been for a 30-minute run, an hour-long walk. So I was definitely ready, and we had some mimosa. It was so nice. And then I guess for the rest of the day, we were able to get some pool time, and I did a little bit of work, and then we got caught up with some friends of ours who flew in from Vegas. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Victoria Scott, But yeah, we caught up with her and her husband, and yeah, we went out and had drinks and some good food and just talked shop. So it was really cool to kind of hear their perspective and just how their training's going, some background on like competition. I know they were asking a bunch of questions to us as well, just from a, I guess, a nutrition and exercise science research perspective on what we thought on various topics. So that was cool. And then today is basically our last morning here. So yeah, again, I got up and did my 25-minute run, and of course, like the 30-minute window where I was like, yes, I'm going to go for a run. Sam's still in bed at this point. I get going, and like 5 minutes in, I can just see this massive big black cloud like coming over, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to rain. And sure enough, I turn around and there's like, I don't know, rain everywhere. Sorry. But it was good, and now we've just been trying to find like all of our favorite places that we used to love coming to. So you can clearly see we've just ordered our brunch, I suppose. So I ordered, it's just the avocado on toast again. It's not something that I normally order because of the caloric density, but I really do like avocado. So that's what I've ordered. We also got this delicious, I guess, is it a sushi taco? So these things here, let me just see if I can read it off the menu for you. So yeah, crispy nori tempura, sushi rice, ponzu tuna, the jinka slaw, and a yuzu spicy aioli. So that looks absolutely delicious. And then over the back here, we have, is it the Godzilla sushi roll? So that was shrimp tempura, tuna, avocado, cream cheese, wakimi salad, chili oil, and tempura flakes. So I am very excited to sit down and enjoy a nice meal. And then, I don't know, we'll probably go do some more sightseeing. I've got to get a few work emails and things knocked out. But yeah, I'll also go through with you and tell you exactly how I tracked all of this. I'll show you the app again, and yeah, just give you some insight into what I do when I'm eating out.
Okay guys, so I am finally with the data. So it's been a week or so. Unfortunately, during the time at which I was in Fort Lauderdale, doing all of the training and getting Lauralie's measurements and some of the other wellness girls and like non-training competitors as well. We mentioned a bunch of people just so that we had a good broad range of data. Life kind of just showed up, and all the stuff with the app that has been going on kind of was happening right then and there. So I wish that I had been able to get this video out sooner, but Lauralie actually has a really great video as well on her channel. So if you don't follow Lauralie, she's going to be documenting her prep too. So yeah, you should definitely go and follow her on YouTube as well. But I finally got all of our data back. So I wanted to go through that with you as kind of a wrap up, summarize of that weekend. But I mean, it was so much fun. We managed to fit in a couple of dinners out here and there. We got some good workouts in. I got some beach walks and runs in, although it was kind of drizzling on and off for that whole weekend, but that's another story. But let's talk data. So we measured the glute medius, the glute maximus, and the rear delt. Now, these are muscle groups that are not typically measured in research because females in training in general and females coming into the resistance space in general is a very understudied group of individuals or population. We simply haven't had an interest in the glutes and or shoulders. Now, there are probably half a dozen studies that exist that have looked at glute max, either muscle growth, muscle thickness, or even like muscle activation using EMG data, but nothing like this. So we're actually in the process right now of doing a pilot study to basically assess our measurement error. So what is our reliability on measuring these sites? We feel like that's kind of the first step in this to make sure that if we're going to go and run a full-blown study, like how accurate are we? Because it is a new muscle, so we want to make sure that we get very consistent with those measurements before we actually go and do the full-blown thing. So this will kind of form some of the subset data, and then we'll also do it in the lab at the University of South Florida too. But just to quickly have a look and share with you on screen, let's start with the glute medius. So this is the muscle group that I have been told you've got to grow, or at least you've got to pose in a way that makes it look larger than it is, which I'm certainly working on. But you can see here in descending order, we have the wellness competitor. Now, I do not want to butcher her name, and I'm so sorry. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce it. I just met her for the first time, and it's not going to roll off my tongue. So anyhow, incredible newly turned pro wellness competitor that trains down at that facility. Her coach was there as well, was very curious about her measurements. So look at this. for glute medius 4.26 centimeters. So like imagine that. That is how thick her glute medius was. And I mean, just visibly looking at her butt, like I am in awe. I mean, the wellness girls in general, it's just such an impressive physique. There's genetics involved in this, and there's, you know, how you respond to training. And it was so crazy. Her before and afters were just like, what? But again, please remember that these girls are enhanced. So their results are going to be quite a bit different to, you know, what someone like myself, perhaps even Lauralie, are going to be able to achieve. And also the competition, the division itself is very different. You know, we don't need to have as much muscle mass, or we'd be told to go into wellness. We certainly don't need to be that big. But 4.26 centimeters was her glute medius thickness. I came in next at 2.8, so that's my data on that particular day. And then Lauralie's was actually a little smaller. It came in at 0.62, but I mean, those differences, like we're talking 0.2 of a centimeter, is incredibly small. So 2.8 centimeters for me, 2.62 centimeters for Lauralie. We're obviously going to follow her around. She's coming to the Tampa Pro here in 4 weeks' time, not to compete, but just to be a part of the sport. And then we'll measure her again at the Olympia. I think we'll probably fly out to Vegas, whether I make it or not. I'm a big fan of the sport in general. So we'll try and get her and see if there's been any changes for her prep and the volumes and the way that she trains as well. I'm sure she'll be really interested in that. So that was the glute medius. We now have these, actually, you know what? I don't have the glute maximus data, and here's why. I would think I was the only one that was able to get a measurement, and the downside of measuring the glute max, at least with the probe that we had, so keep in mind ultrasounds require different probes, and the probe that would have been more appropriate for us to measure the glute max, because it's quite a deep muscle. Remember, my glute max measured somewhere around the 7 centimeter mark, so if you can imagine, you know, that's how thick that muscle is. It's crazy. That's a big, thick muscle. I don't know that we were able to get measurements for the wellness competitor, and I don't know that we had a good gauge on Lauralie either, because she's still at the beginning of her prep. So the probe is not only taking into consideration like all of her muscle, we're also looking at subcutaneous body fat as well. So the probe actually wasn't deep enough to be able to measure like all the way down to the bone interface or at the bottom of that muscle. So that's why I don't have this data. I'm assuming that next time we visit her, we'll be able to take the probe that measures a deeper depth and then we can compare that. But I'm very excited to see if we can run into, because this other girl, the wellness girl, is going to be at Tampa too. We'll make sure that we get her glute measurements as well. But I know for me, mine's right around like 7 or so centimeters. So it'll be interesting to see if there are meaningful differences between wellness and then someone, you know, like Lauralie, who's an Olympia champion. So we'll move on to the shoulders. By gosh, again, I was just like amazed at how muscular this wellness girl was, and she'd just turned pro too. I think she was from Russia or the Netherlands, somewhere in that area, generally speaking. But her rear delt was 3.83 centimeters, which is crazy. I came in at 2.18 and Lauralie came in at 2.3. So between her and I mean, we've got again like a 0.15 difference basically, which is pretty insignificant. I mean, we're talking a millimeter, 1.5 millimeters, which is nothing. But then big jump up into the wellness girls, so 3.83. And then for the medial delt, we have 3.43 for this muscle here. And then for my medial delt, I was a 2.8. 2.88, and then Lauralie came in at 2.66. So yeah, Lauralie and I have very similar dimensions at this point, but it's funny when you then look at that muscle thickness on a different shaped body, whether it's broader, longer, you know, thickness, it's just interesting because we are so different. Like Lauralie has the smallest waist I've ever seen in my life, or at least that I've witnessed in like the competitive space. She's like nothing naturally, like genetically, like has no waist. It's crazy, where I'd say I'm a little bit more, I call myself a refrigerator. So I've got to almost like over exaggerate the width of my shoulders and my glutes to kind of create that X frame. But yeah, it was really fun, great experience. I'm glad that we got down to do that. I wish that I had been able to film more, but we were just like, I don't know, in the middle of like a personal crisis at the same time as like being there intentionally to get some filming done. So it was a bit of a frustrating weekend. We didn't get to enjoy it quite the way we had intended, but Yeah, I guess throughout the video, I'll probably have put up some other clips and things as well. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm sure there'll be more opportunities that we get to train together. And if there is anything that you'd like from either Lauralie or I to film, let us know. We love to kind of get together and collaborate. So we're happy to take your feedback into consideration. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the training clips, the posing, the measurements, and then whatever else I've remembered to film. I'm sure it is all over the place, but hey, I'm clearly a better science person than I am vlogger. All right, guys, I'll catch you in my next video.